Hey, what's up guys? Justin here from CBI Off-Road. We got a 2022 Nissan Frontier up here. We've just installed a full set of steel skid plates. We got coverage from the front all the way to the back of the gas tank. Stick around, we'll show you how to do it. All right, so let's go ahead and get everything laid out. So we have our front skid up front, obviously. Then the next one back, that's gonna be our transmission skid. The next one is our transfer case skid. And then the last one is the gas skid with all the brackets associated with it. All right, so step one is we're gonna tear out all the factory stuff here. We've already done that literally like day 2 of having this truck. We ripped all that out just to get our engineering team on this as fast as they could to get these skid plates cranked out. So we're gonna have 4 bolts on each side that are 17mm head, and that's gonna remove the kind of like aluminum colored skid. Underneath that one, you'll have 2 more right here, and you'll have 4 12mm bolts in each of those skid plates. So remove those, and then we'll be ready to install our CBI skid plates. All right, so with the factory skid plates down, now we're ready to install the CBI front skid. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use some of this brown NICs on all the bolts that are going into a captive nut. So that's really critical. So the main 17mm bolts we pulled out, we'll be lubing those up with some NICs. And also the replacement bolts we're using, these are 13mm head going into there. We're gonna go ahead and put NICs on those as well. If you're installing a metal skid plate, the steel version, they're gonna be really heavy, so definitely have some help with that, or use a jack or something to help hold. Don't try to juggle bolts and hardware and the skid plate. The aluminum one's pretty simple. You can use your head and get that up in there if you're on a lift. But either way, I mean, if you have help, definitely use it. So we'll get all this prepped and then get the front skid up. All right, so now let's install our transmission skid. So I've already tapped on our little clip nuts here. Just make sure you have the threaded side facing up. And how this is gonna install is we're gonna basically set this flange on top of the front skid, and then we're gonna use the Allen head bolts with a 3/16 Allen bit to get those started by hand, and then we'll tighten those down. And now on the back, we're gonna utilize these aluminum dome washers. So we're gonna slide the bolt through this dome washer, and then we'll install the 13mm head bolts back here. So we'll get everything started, then we'll tighten it down. Just make sure you remember these, because by design, this is to protect the head of the bolt. If you're sliding over rocks or whatever, this is gonna protect that bolt head, so you'll be able to still get your skids on and off if you need to for maintenance or whatever. So we'll go ahead and get on this transmission skid. All right, now with the transfer case skid, we're gonna use the same dome washers and 13mm bolts that we did here in these 2 holes, and then we're gonna use our long bolts, square washers, and flange nuts to go through the frame on each side back there. We'll get you a tight shot of that. All right, so now we're gonna bolt up the back side of the transfer skid. So we're gonna take our longer bolts, gonna throw on one of these square washers, and insert the bolt from the frame this way, and we'll get our flange nut started on the inside. Once we get them all started, then we'll come back and tighten them down. All right, so moving on to the gas tank skid. We've already tossed the factory skid in the trash, so that's long gone. But no worries, we're gonna reuse a lot of the factory hardware. So the Torx bolts you pull down, we're gonna reuse that to install the CBI steel skid or aluminum, if that's what you go with. But first, we're gonna prep all the hardware with a washer and the anti-seize, and then we're gonna get close up and show you the locations of all these brackets. We're gonna get 3 of them on down here loosely installed, hold it up, get the bolts started in the truck, and then we'll install this longer rear bracket. So come in close, we'll show you the locations of these brackets. All right, so the rear skid is oriented in the way it's gonna be installed, with the wider part up front, the tapered part to the rear. So these brackets are sitting in their location. So we have kind of almost a 90-degree bend on this one. It's kind of a long bottom shank right here, and then that top angle, that's gonna go on the front right. On the front left, we have a real shallow angle here. That's gonna go up there. Now the rear left, we have this shallow angle here, but also it's pitched this way to match the frame of the truck. And then of course, this one, very easy to recognize, goes in the rear, this long guy. All right, so now that we got everything started, we're just gonna kind of push upward here so that the skid plate's at its highest point, and we're gonna tighten our main bolts, and then we'll go around and tighten our Allens here. These are 7/32 Allen. All right, our last step is we're gonna get our little access door up on the front skid, so make sure you use the anti-seize on these bolts. They're the countersunk head bolts, and we'll just get everything started by hand, then come down and tighten it with a 3/16 Allen. All right, that sums up our install video of the 2022 Nissan Frontier full skid plates. These things are just massive. They are ready to be used and abused. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and leave us a comment below to let us know how we're doing. Thanks.